All right, this is a big one. Let's do a CMA on Stash BA. What you want to do is find any property. So we've got data on every single property. We'll type the address in. We can click on any property on the map and we'll bring up everything we know about this property. So this example in Clontarf, built in 84 as an owner-occupied property, 725 square meters, 18-meter frontage, a 4-bedroom. The price is somewhere around $1 million. Looks like it sold a couple of years ago. Take these with a grain of salt. If you want to look what other providers estimate that property at, you can click on what does Domain think, what does View think, what does On the House think, what does REA think, and that'll just give you some more confidence around price estimates. It's an automatic estimate at the end of the day. If you want to know real value or true value is comparing it to the suburb median, so this like-for-like type of property or your market activity. So here's everything we know about this property. We've got our neighbourhood profile, we've got social housing, there's some impact there at 5% in the local area. Train station's 2.6 kilometres away, bus stops close, centre zone, an IGA store's a kilometre away. What type of road is it on? Is it a busy road, a quiet road? If you're a BA and you know your local area, you'll know the types of roads and the busyness of them. But if you're an interstate or buying for investment properties anywhere in the country, having access to that's really important. Roundabout, how far away property is from a roundabout. The closer, if you're on top of a roundabout, there's going to be a lot of road noise. What are those primary school and secondary school catchments? We've got Priceline and national property data. If you've got those subscriptions, you can plug them in. I'm trying to work with CoreLogic and see if we can get them in there as well. You've got your property descriptions. You got other things like before you dig. So if you wanted to know the infrastructure under the ground, click a button, come back in a couple of minutes, and that'll give you all those documents from before you dig, save you having to go to that other website. Looking for building and pests, you can go to before you buy. You'll know your building and pest people around the local area, but if you're buying interstate or you're borderless, it'll come up with recommended building and pest providers around that property. You've got your property timelines and when this property last sold, any planning insights, any of those impacts. So this property is flooding detected and it's bushfire detected. And if I bring in those layers on the map, you'll see some of that data come to fruition. So you can see that it is semi-flood detected and probably near bushfire detected. So you can bring in that data. Here you'll see some development projects. This is just helping you as a BA understand what's going on around this property. So any residential spend, that's going to impact things like future supply, any new buildings, new dwellings. The non-residential spend is going to potentially impact jobs. So any new jobs or any major infrastructure around the area. I'll go into that in another video. You've also got your market insights. So what's the growth of the suburb been? How's that performed over the last decade? How's all the rental stats look? This is kind of like a what-if analyzer. If it's a 3-bedroom house, how is that? What's the rental yield of a 3-bed versus a 4-bed? What's the sale price of a 3-bed versus a 4-bed? And also, what's the rent price? It just gives you, if you are looking at renovating or your buyers looking at renovating, the potential they can get from doing that. The suburb profiles there. So for this suburb, we'll tell you everything we know about it. We've got the median price here. It's a high confidence. We've got our low and high price range. That's sort of the typical price range. So 50% of the sales in this suburb fall between those two numbers. Gets rid of all those outliers. This is just looking at houses, but you can drill down to show me like what is 4-bedroom houses doing, what are 3-bedroom houses doing, or units are doing. And the data will change reflective of that. With medians, if you want to check what the other providers say, by all means, do it. Click on those links and that'll just tell you what the median of the suburb is on those providers. You've got charts. There's the sales price median, just looking at that growth. You see the post-COVID boom and then sort of kicking on again. This is looking over 10 years. Most medians you'll see around certain websites, there'll be 12-month aggregate. If you want to drill down further, you can go, what has happened over the last 6 months or over the last 3 months? You can get really into detail. Just got to make sure there's enough sales volume when you are drilling down. Sales price growth, you can see that big jump there, kind of attraction, and then started to lift up again. Rental yield in this suburb has been pretty consistent, sits around the 5% or thereabouts, or just under 4 now. Vacancy rate, pretty low. Days on market, pre-COVID, a little in the 60s, and now it's down around the 40s. Sales volume's pretty consistent year on year over the last decade. Market absorption, so that's a percentage of the stock that's basically selling every month. So basically 20%. So after 10 listings on the market, 2 of them are selling. There's a PDF there if you want. If you need to print a report, you can print that out. This is just on the suburb. This can be fully branded, fully customized. It's like a CMA for the suburb. You can go through that. Market activities there. So if you want to know where your comparable sales, this is where you do it. So you can see all the comparables here. You can see your search summary. You can have a look at all the different colors. The colors actually mean something. You can see the expensive parts of the suburb and the more inexpensive parts. You can see the price ranges of those. What's the typical property makeup for the low end of the suburb versus the high end of the suburb? Is there a two-speed market in that suburb? Not every suburb works the same way. So the low properties selling quicker than the higher ones gives you some confidence, and also looks at what are the typical style of bedrooms in that suburb. So most of them in this suburb are 3-bedders. You've got your medians there broken down. You've also got agents. So if you want to connect with agents and you've got something really specific you're trying to find for your buyer, do this search and it'll bring up the people you should be speaking to in that suburb. So you've got your comparables there. You can pick which ones you want or which ones are more comparable. You can add them to your comparable list and save that. And then when you're producing a CMA, and I'll show you that at the end, what you can do there. You've also got development activity. So it's any DAs, that chart that I showed you before with any infrastructure spend, you can see when the dwellings are going to come online. So how many dwellings are there, what stage they're at, and roughly when these dwellings are going to come online. So it sort of tells you around the future supply, really important to know. Development projects will be there. So any of those big infrastructure spends and you want to know what's going on, whether it's in schools or hospitals or anything like that. This is an additional plugin on Stash, but BCI, really popular product, gives you all the details around all the spend around what people are doing. I go back to the property. I've got this print report. This is effectively a CMA. It's going to be as big or as little as you want to produce here. You've got your property report. You've got your notes. Any notes you want to write, you can write there. There's an AI tool when you want to write them. You can predict it with that. You got your neighborhood profile, your price estimates there. If you want to include it, you don't have to. If you don't want to include any of these things, you can take them out. And just scrolling through, so property details, your aerial image, your flood maps, your bushfire, your biodiversity and heritage. So just any of the impact. You've got your contours. You've got all the stats on the suburb. You've got your comparable sales. If you don't want to use our comparables, our default ones, you can bring in the ones you've just saved. So if I go to my show saved comparables, I'll be able to pull in any of those saved comparables that I've had before. I can bring in all the heat maps. So we've got a lot of heat maps on Stash. And based on whatever your buyer's trying to do, you can bring in all different ones. So this one here, I've got the 10-year growth. I've got the suburb median. I've got days on market. I've got social housing. But if I wanted to bring in, say, the school one, I can bring in the school one as well, and that'll give me all that data there. Got my development projects, what's going on, any development activity. You can download that, fully brand that in your own livery, colors, logos, and give that to your client on any single property in the country. Unlimited, no limited reports there. Cheers.